Hello everyone, this is a tutorial on Study in A minor by Napoleon Coste. It's a two-part form which we'll call an A section and a B section, and both sections are repeated. Okay, let's dive into this material. We'll start with the first phrase, which is measure 1 and 2. This. Notice that the whole piece starts out with just one note, this E, which is on the second string, indicated by that 2 in the circle. You're setting the whole tone of the music by how you play that first note. It's already on the second string, which is far more expressive than the open first string. We want to make it even more expressive by putting in vibrato. Just as a reminder on how to play vibrato, on this instrument, classical guitar or even an acoustic guitar, we want to plant our finger down, whatever finger it is that we're using, in this case it's the first finger, and move the arm back and forth. You get much more control and more volume. This does very little, if anything at all. It's fine for the electric because of the pickups that we have in an electric, but not for this style. So we're in 5th position, which means our first finger is assigned to the 5th fret. Alright, and as we hold this down, we're preparing our 4th finger to play the C on the 8th fret. Okay, and as we play that, we already have our 3rd finger down on B and our 1st finger down on A. 2 reasons for that. It's more reliable. By playing note to note, you're more likely to buzz the note or hit a wrong note. So we want to set ourselves up always so that we reduce the risk of making a mistake. But the more important reason is that since this is a phrase, we want to play it as a phrase, and we want the notes to be connected, legato. Really important. Much more connected than playing by note to note. Okay, in next measure, measure 2, we're shifting to 4th position. So we have our first finger on G sharp. Again, we're going to keep that down when we play the A, and we're going to keep both down when we play the B. Again, to be more reliable, more accurate, but mostly to play it legato. Phrases. Phrases, phrases. Always play music in phrases. All right, so this whole phrase again. All right, now next phrase, measures 3 and 4. So beat 4 of measure 2 is a pickup to the next phrase. So we can see that the second phrase is an answer to the first phrase. Let me play both phrases. Measure 4, notice that there's 3 parts. Super important when you're playing this music is to recognize the 3 different voices. Notice they all have their independent rhythm. Okay, so if I was just playing measure 4, the melody, the bass, and then we have this inner voice, it's G sharp, hugely important. It's leading to the A. So we don't want to drop that G sharp. Okay, now we have a pickup to the next phrase in the next line, measure 5, and it starts out exactly like the first phrase did. So we have the E on the 2nd string, same as measure 1, except we're going somewhere else. So here we are back in 5th position. We're playing this G and the F on the 2nd string. And again, I'm holding them down, both down. Then we play 2 beats of 8th notes. Okay, and it's really important to play all those notes evenly. We have a slur on beat 4 from the C to a B, it's a pull off. And we want to play it rhythmically the same as we did the E and the D on beat 3. So, all right, so the whole phrase again. All right, that last part of that line, we have just a standard A minor chord. Again, don't drop any of those notes. All those notes need to ring out. We're going to this E 5 chord. And as we talked about in the beginning, it's resolving back to the A minor. So we have this free stroke. Okay, fingers are still down. They're all ringing out. Okay, now if you look at measure 8, last measure of the A section, we only have 3 beats there. Beat 4 seems to be missing. So if I was counting out measure 8, it's 1, 2, and 3. So where's beat 4? Well, when we repeat, the first thing that we play is beat 4. That first measure isn't measure 1, it's really beat 4 of measure 8, right? So it's this, 1, 2, and 3, back to the beginning. There's beat 4. After the repeat, when we jump to the 3rd line, beat 4 is there. That's beat 4. All right, so let's talk about repeats. When you repeat this A section, I would suggest you make some changes. Subtle changes, such as volume. You could just play the whole section softer. That's a nice subtle change. You could add some fluctuations in tempo and volume. Maybe this could be something that you would think about. I'll play the A section twice and make some subtle changes on the repeat. All right, let's look at the B section. Okay, typical in any 2-part structure, the B section will always have contrasting material, something different than what we've heard in the A section. But also, towards the end of that section, as we have here, elements of the first section, the A section, is brought back. It's not often literal, but some element of it is brought back so that we've arrived back home, so to speak. Okay, so in this section, this B section, there's some really cool things going on here. The first thing is that we have this sequence going on that causes some tension in the music and propels the music forward. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's look at this first sequence, the pickup to measure 9. Here again we have 3-part writing. we have a melody, notes on top. We have a bass moving in contrary motion, by the way, to the melody. And then we have this inner line on an open third string. It's called a pedal. When we have repeated notes like this, it's intended to give the illusion that it's being sustained. All three of those notes are not equal in importance. The melody is always the most important. And the bass serves as a harmonic support to that melody. The pedal is something that's more textural, something that we want to bring back. So you really are going to have to listen to these three parts and control it so that the melody is brought out, the pedals brought back down. Now measure 10, what I just played. Some really nice dissonance going on there, which is resolved. You don't want to destroy that dissonance and that resolution by lifting up your finger off that F. Oh, that would be disastrous. Keep it down and control all three parts. Okay, the next phrase is an answer to the phrase that came before it. Okay, again we have this dissonance which is resolved. All right, we don't want to lift up this E or block the open G, because that would destroy that whole dissonance that was set up. So let me play this third line, both of these phrases. Okay, now we move into the third part of the sequence, which is bringing back material from the first section. This. Right, so we have this. Here it is again, but in a different context. It's concluding, it's the finale of that sequence that had been building up. So you want to play it accordingly. You want to play it with that understanding and perhaps start out this sequence more softly. And start building up. Finally. Okay, so let's talk about then the last line. We have this, again, the melody moving down, the bass moving up. A little bit tricky, right? You're going to have to keep this pinky down on this first string all the way through until we get to measure 14. So we're moving our pinky over. We have octave Bs now. Keeping it down. Playing the C. And then finally keeping it down again, moving it to the G. All right, so we have this. We want to be using our fourth finger and our second finger on the C. That's the trickiest part. It's a little bit of a stretch. Why do we have to use this fingering? So that we're set up to play the D sharp on beat 4. So, and we lay our third finger down on the A. So this. All right, once that third finger is down, at measure 15, we just form the A minor. Get a nice balance between all three of those notes and keep those fingers down. All right, now. Right, and then we're going to lay our second finger down and let this A ring out. Okay. When we repeat this section, again, you're going to change it up and be adding a little more emotion, maybe a little more intensity when you're playing that sequence. And then when we finally get to measure 50, the second last measure, we're back in our home key of A minor, and it's time at that point probably to settle it down and then put in a retardando, which means that you're going to slow it down at some point within those last two measures. And that will make a nice finale to this whole piece. All right, I hope this lesson was helpful to you. If you're interested, you can download this study for free at my website, luar.com. Also available for free is my beginning and advanced guitar method books, my advanced rock book, as well as my compositions and arrangements for guitar ensemble. The link is below.